You come back on and we can't hear you, brother.
Can we hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes.
You seem like you got a microphone set up now and stuff. Look at you
Like
upgrading.
little technical difficulties. This is the first test run of it. You know what I mean?
I love it. I'm inspiring people. Like people got microphones now and shit, right? Like people started with just like regular backgrounds in their cars. Now people got microphones and everything. Like
stepping up in the game. We moving on up out here.
Listen, I don't have a budget for y'all, so that don't come out the hit list expense budget. That's on y'all.
I mean, I'm just saying, if the hit list want to reimburse us for a little something, you know what I mean?
We could talk about it if you want. Just let me know. We could talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it. But I definitely appreciate the professionalism in acquiring, the necessary needs for podcasting. So that's definitely a good look. Let me just share in the group now. We are live right now on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Carco launch for the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. Please stay tuned as I get the show started. I have to share it all out there so people can watch our content. Please pull up as we are getting ready for the 2021 NFL Draft. Our panelists are back. They've been chatting it up. I see some trades going on with the Panthers. Travis may not be too thrilled about it. I'm not sure how he's feeling right now, but he'll definitely be telling you his opinion about it as we proceed with the show. Charles, how you doing, sir?
Not too bad. Very hyped for tomorrow. It's been a long time coming ever since the Super Bowl ended. I hate that the draft is so late after the Super Bowl, but you know what? We finally made it and we're here.
So you think the draft should be immediately following the Super Bowl? Is that what you're thinking?
Not even following, but I think it should be before free agency starts at the very least.
You know what it is? Because the Jets don't make the playoffs, so therefore, it's not a lot going on with the Jets. It's a while since you've heard anything about the Jets, anything good about them. You know what I mean? Here we are. This is new beginning. What, number 50 for the Jets? Charles?
I was curious to ask that. Like Sam Darnold, what pick did you guys have him at?
We got him at 3.
So you got him at 3, and now you're at 2 again. So and you got him 3 years ago? About you'd say?
Yeah, 2017.
So that's a 3-year to figure out that it didn't work, and now you're back in the same spot again, and it makes you wonder what.
No, they're in 2 this time, Carl. They're in 2.
Right. So again, in 3 years they've had the top 2 and 3 picks. It makes you wonder. What else do you need? What else do you want?
Well, the reason behind it was that
the problem is this is when it starts from the organization top to bottom. Right. You know what I mean? When you're not right up there, it just trickles down to not being right on the field.
Right, but now we are back. We have stability, hopefully, at the GM position, stability at the coaching position, hopefully. And Woody Johnson is back from the UK or wherever the hell he was. Chris Johnson is no longer making decisions. So hopefully this is turning the page to a brand new chapter.
You hope. Every team says that. You just hope that that's how it falls, So
you know what it is? It's nice outside. It's 80 degrees. What did they say? What's the saying? Hope springs eternal, whatever that saying is.
Well, the real saying is April showers bring May flowers. In the Jets case, it's been showering for years. It's hoping that they bring something. But thank you everyone for joining us and pulling up the Sports Hit List by the fans and for the fans. We are here to discuss the NFL draft. Now, normal shows would say they do a mock draft. I feel like every show is doing their mock draft, so we could do it our own way.
That's what the people want to see.
I don't know if they want to see that. Listen, Julius Irving is trending right now in the hit list streets with his comments regarding the hit list favorite topic. So aside from
enough.
Declan, can you see us? Can you turn your phone again, sir? You got to turn it the other way. I'm so sorry, man.
So it's vertical. How's this?
One more time. Turn it again. Much better. Thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be back. I'm trying not to cut off my head here.
Yeah, with the fun.
How's this?
How's your NFL offseason been? I see you left us to the Smoke and Mirrors podcast, left the team to go do your own thing over there. So how's that going along?
It's going good. Happy to be with Greg and Stefan. I didn't leave the team. I'm always going to be here.
My man. So are you excited? So how's your excitement level for tomorrow night's draft?
I'm really excited. I was going to make plans and I was like, what am I doing? It's Thursday night. It's the NFL draft. I think there's so many interesting picks. Like I made a mock draft. I'm sure like a good 75% of it's going to be wrong. We don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow. The draft really starts at 3. I'm so excited.
You know what? That's what we've been talking about. Travis is in favor of us doing a total mock draft right now. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if I really have the time to sit here and watch you guys pick 30 players each. You know?
32, first of all.
30,
It's okay,
32,
Carl.
same difference. 30, 32,
don't
same
get
difference.
mad because the NFL draft is actually relevant after the top 5 picks, unlike the NBA draft.
Oh, come on, don't do
I
that.
mean, who
Let's
really
not do
cares
that.
about the NBA draft?
Let's not do that
picks?
because there have been some great players who come after the top 5 picks. Steph Curry was after a top 5 pick. My guy Danny Green was after a top 5 pick. There's a list of players. Paul Pierce was after a top 5 pick. There's been a list of players who've been after top 5 picks. At the time
of the draft, did we care about them?
Stop it.
There's
Don't
also been some great players that came in the 6th round. I mean, basketball doesn't even have 6 rounds.
Right. No, of course not. I mean, clearly looking at the NFL draft, every pick matters. And I think that's part of the conversation we're going to have today. And I was just talking to Chuck and he said, the top 2 are clear and cut. So as the media man that I am, is that a guarantee? Are you willing to bet your house? Are you willing to bet your paycheck that the top 2 picks are guaranteed going into tomorrow's draft?
Am I willing to bet my house that the Jets are going to pick the wrong guy?
No, that's not
right.
I think I am.
I'm not betting anything on the New York Jets. Like I wouldn't bet. If it was any other team, I would say, yeah, I could put up a check on that. But the New York Jets, they're liable to go out there and do something crazy, talking about they want to pick Kyle Pitts or something like that, which I wouldn't be mad at. But
who's playing quarterback then for them? David Fales,
right? But it's the Jets. It's the New York Jets.
Yeah, it's the Jets. I would say they're going with Wilson. I think it's kind of a lock at this point, unless they did, they went out of, kind of fooled everyone and took Justin Fields, which I think would be the right pick there. But yeah,
we're gonna get into Justin Fields because I
got a lot to say about Justin Fields.
So before we dive into the rest of the draft, number 1 and 2 are clear cut. That's like a guaranteed.
I think it's safe to say. I wouldn't guarantee, but I would go. It's safe to say that.
Safe to say. Yeah. So you're not putting you're not putting your mortgage. You're not putting your rent money on the top 2 going.
Let's put it like this, Carl. I got 2 jobs. I got a main one and a part-time. I might put the check of the part-time one up.
So basically, you would say you're putting the side piece up up
right.
for offer. That's what you do. You put the side piece up, not the main one, the side piece. Chuck,
right. We ain't gonna risk the main on
this. This guy's like Tony Soprano with his mistresses.
I have 2 jobs also, full-time, part-time. I will bet the full-time, the part-time, and the savings on Trevor Lawrence going and Zach Wilson going too.
This is why he's a Jets fan. This is why he's a Jets fan. He always has hope. Look at him.
It is a lock. Think about it. The Jets traded Darnold. They're going quarterback no matter what. 49ers wanted Wilson. They obviously traded up for him. They're not going to get him because the Jets are taking him at 2. That's the only answer.
No, that's a good point. Listen, I'd have to bet some stuff, but aside from smoke and mirrors and everything, I don't really have a job, as you can see by the Super Bowl patch from the Super Bowl 8 years ago of the jersey that I'm wearing today to go on the Andrew Vanek show.
So you're not willing to you're not willing to bet anything then? That's 1 and 2.
You know what? I will bet this. If the Jets don't take Zach Wilson, any Sports Hit List member of Carl, Chuck, and Travis's choosing can host Smoke and Mirrors for a day with Greg and stuff.
You don't want that. Wow, that's a big risk there. But again, clearly everyone kind of knows where these teams are leaning towards. Looking at the rest of the draft coming in, if you want to look at the team that's following it, the San Francisco, right? Is San Francisco getting the 3rd pick?
Yes.
Where do
via
see
trade?
Via trade. I think it's the Houston-Miami trade or something like that.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
So
at this point, I don't know where that pick originated from. At this point,
I do my research. I do my research here and there.
I think it's originally supposed to be Houston's pick, right?
Yeah.
Via Miami, then
yeah. So
the fact that Houston doesn't have a 1st-round pick this year is just ridiculous.
So again,
it's unbelievable.
Looking at their organizational needs, are they in need of a quarterback? Is this where they go with the quarterback, or did they go with a different position? If you're looking at the 49ers right here. Travis.
Trav?
They're going to go quarterback. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a need for them. but they're going to go quarterback because they feel like this team is in a position to win now. So as we all heard throughout the news, the big debate is which quarterback are they going to pick. From the rumors, you would hear that Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, he's in favor of Mac Jones from Alabama, which doesn't really out of the top 5 quarterbacks, he's probably the least physically talented of the 5. But I guess Kyle Shanahan feels like he can win with this guy on his decision making, his ability to basically be a point guard out there and just distribute the ball. But most other analysts believe that going with a quarterback like Trey Lance, who has a bigger upside, is the better bet for the 49ers. I mean, you think about it, they gave up a lot of draft capital to move up to this number 3 spot. So to sit here and think that you're going to move up just to take, I guess what you would say, the least talented guy. I mean, I said it before the draft process even started. I didn't think Mac Jones was off his natural talents was a first round quarterback, but he's going to go in the first round. So the fact that he might go in the top 5 is kind of nuts to me.
Time out. I'm sorry. Manny Schefter is in the comments. He said, breaking news. I believe him. Manny Schefter is usually on point that the Raiders are trading their picks for Julio Jones. Or is that a lie? I don't know. That's a lie.
Why would you believe that?
Listen,
Why would you
I don't
believe
know.
that?
He put it in the comments. I don't know.
Listen, Manny. Listen, we've kind of bestowed the title of Manny Schefter. You can't be out here filling the nonsense, with the comments. We need credible, reliable news from you. All right, you got one job. Come on now.
Reminds me of the time I tried to tell Mets fans.
Before Manny interrupted what we were discussing, Travis made a key point I wanted to ask you guys. Maybe I'll ask Chuck or Declan, you guys can answer. Does a draft come down to what you need, or what you want, or what you're trying to keep away from other teams? So like you said, you don't think they necessarily need a quarterback, but they're going to draft one. Do they really need one? Like, what does it really come down to, your needs, or are you just holding keeping talent from other teams? Chuck?
I think when you trade up like the 49ers did, I think they're going to go get their guy, and you're trading up to get a quarterback. It's a quarterback-driven league no matter what. So when San Francisco gave up, I think, like 3 firsts to go get the 3rd pick, they're going to be taking a quarterback. Travis said, yes, they don't need one per se, but I think they're going to move on from Garoppolo once the year ends. So they're going for their quarterback of the future. They're a win-now team, and I guess that's what they want to do going forward. For other teams, listen, the Jets were at a point where they took the best player available, and it left them with like 24 billion defensive tackles and no defensive ends. And as we all know, that didn't work out too nicely for them. So it's all up to what the GM wants. Every GM's different. Every GM approaches things different ways. Some GMs don't even like draft picks, like a Mike McCagnon, and it tries to build a team through free agency. So
you think they're definitely going quarterback?
Yeah, but so I think it's just better off building through the draft, and the 49ers are going to take a quarterback. It's all a matter of which quarterback are they taking.
Declan, what are your thoughts? Are they going quarterback too?
Yeah, I think Chuck and Trav hit it right on the head. Whether you think Garoppolo is going to be a bridge quarterback, I know they went to the Super Bowl last year in 2020, that is, right before the pandemic. They traded up this capital to take a quarterback. There's no doubt about it. The question is, who the hell are they going to take? They have 3 guys. One guy that I think we all know that they should take, Justin Fields, but they're probably not going to. Apparently, they're down to Trey Lance and Mac Jones. And the 2 scenarios here, and I have Mac going there, even though I think I'm with Travis. I think Mac Jones is a late first-round draft pick. But then again, as a Giants fan, I'll be happy to see it. Yes, I'll be happy to see another quarterback named Jones get taken way too early. So that'll be a little exciting for me. But Trey Lance, as mentioned before, if the thing with Trey Lance, and if I'm him, I think I'm the most nervous out of any player in the draft right now. Where the hell is this guy going to go? If he doesn't go at 3, there's rumors he's going to go to the Broncos at 9. Travis's Panthers just traded Teddy Bridgewater there, so that kind of throws in some hole. Is Drew Lock going to get traded for this to happen? Where's Vic Fangio gonna do, because he's so late? But as far as the Niners go, to get back on track, if they take a guy like Trey Lance, the consensus is that Lance is not ready to lead and not ready to take over the reins just yet in his career. So if you had him sit behind Garoppolo for a year, let Garoppolo go, and then okay, now you got Lance under Shanahan and Lynch, that head coach GM combo that's not going anywhere. That could be a move that would work. But again, they've said this week that Shanahan's going to have the final say, and if Shanahan has the final say, I'm leaning towards them taking Mac Jones.
Okay.
Let me chime in on that real fast.
Go ahead.
As far as your question, you asked whether teams pick for needs or whether you're picking to keep talent away from other teams. I think in the NFL, I don't think they pick to keep talent away from other teams. I wouldn't necessarily say that. But as far as the draft, I think it depends on where you're drafting, whether you're drafting on need or best available. If you look at Tampa Bay, who are returning at this point all 22 of their starters, they're going to draft best available player because one, they're at the 32nd pick. So therefore, you're just drafting to add talent and depth. If you're, say, the Jets or the Jaguars, you're drafting for needs because you're that early in the draft.
I think every team's different. I agree with Trav.
Right. Well said. So let's move along. We have the Hawks with the 4th pick. In terms of needs, defensive line, offensive line, safety, possibly a cornerback. We have Patrick Surtain the second, Trey Lance possibly, or Surtain, excuse me, Justin Fields possibly there. What are you guys thinking here, Travis?
For which team? I'm sorry. Again?
The Falcons.
The Falcons. The Falcons are probably the most interesting because they can go one of two ways. I think the consensus is that they're either going to potentially draft the replacement for Matt Ryan or probably take Kyle Pitts at this point because we've heard the rumors about them trading Julio Jones. I wish they could trade him before the June 1st deadline to get that cap relief, because then I'm pretty sure the Ravens would throw in both those first round picks for Julio Jones. But they can't, so they have to wait at this point. But if you're going to trade Julio Jones, you're going to need another big playmaker, and why not take Kyle Pitts at that point? But to be picking at the number 4 spot, your hopes is not to be picking at the number 4 spot again. So therefore, do you risk that and not take the eventual heir apparent to Matt Ryan because of their cap situation? Matt Ryan's there for at least another 2 years because of the cap situation. So it's an interesting dilemma. If I had to, I'd say they go with Kyle Pitts simply because of the cap situation they're under. I've heard that right now they wouldn't even be able to sign their rookies because their caps is so bad. So therefore, I think it's pretty much a done deal that Julio Jones is out of there June 1st. So if Julio Jones is out of there June 1st, you're going to need another big-time physical target because Calvin Ridley, he's a great player, but he's not necessarily a huge.
He's not a number 1.
I think he can be a number 1, but he's just not a huge physical. That big time receiver. He's not
a Kenny Galladay kind of type.
Right.
He's more.
So I think if you're gonna end up trading Julio Jones, I think you go with Kyle Pitts because you're gonna need that replacement from a physical standpoint.
See, the deeper and deeper you get into the draft, Travis, it goes back to your point about who's available and what your needs. What do you sacrifice? You're gonna take the best available. You're gonna pick up what you need. Right. So I think it's a matter of moving. Like the closer and closer we get down, you're noticing. All right, who's still left, and does that person fit the needs that we want? Makes it a tough choice. Chuck, what are your thoughts on the Falcons?
This is the first pick where a quarterback is not guaranteed to go. It would have been nice to see them maybe take Fields, being that he's from, I believe, the Atlanta area. So it would have been nice, to have a hometown kid play for the hometown team. But I do agree with Travis. I think they're going to go with Kyle Pitts. When you look at what Atlanta did, they hired Arthur Smith this offseason to be their head coach. And when Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, he ran his offense through his tight ends and Jonnu Smith and Anthony Frisker and a bunch of other guys. So I think they're going to take Pitts, the tight end, and he'll fit seamlessly into that offense. So I think that'll be their pick, unless they trade out of it, which is always a possibility.
Declan?
Yeah, I think absolutely what Chuck said about Arthur Smith using the tight ends, even going back to the Delaney Walker days, he's big with that. I think that's a great point. I'm going to have to agree. I think they're going to go Kyle Pitts. I think it's going to be very comparable to in 2018 when the Giants took Saquon Barkley at 2. Saquon was the best overall player in that draft. I think Kyle Pitts is the best overall player in this draft. I know that might be a little bit of a hot take, but that's where I think all around that's where he's at. And I think they're going to kind of, I don't want to say waste Matt Ryan's years, but Matt Ryan's at the point where it's comparable to Eli Manning. When Eli was on his last 2 years on the way out, this is kind of the same situation Atlanta finds themselves in with Matt Ryan. And I think that they don't take their quarterback, even though Fields would be a great fit there, as Chuck said, homegrown kid, even went to Georgia. I know he transferred out. It didn't work there. I had him going to Atlanta in like a pre-look, outlook on the 2021 quarterback draft class back in like September, October. But things have changed. I wouldn't even be – I would think if they were going to go quarterback, I think they would go Trey Lance there. But I think that I'm 99% sure that they're going to go with Kyle Pitts. I think the fit's there and everything about it just works.
Well, that was going to be as we move along, we get to the Bengals. Just looking, Kyle Pitts could go to the Bengals. Their top needs, clearly offensive line, defensive line, wide receiver, tight end, running back.
Just name anything besides a quarterback. Is their needs right now.
Yeah, well, at this point, you figure they want to give, Joe Burrow a much better supporting cast than last year.
Yeah.
So, Chuck, what are you looking here? Is Rashawn Slater a possibility with the there, or excuse me if I pronounce his name wrong? Penny Sewell, is that how you say it? Right?
Yeah.
Sewell.
Be careful.
I think it's Sewell.
Sewell.
Yeah. Penny Sewell. I think.
Penny Sewell. Okay,
Yeah.
Chuck.
Make sure to don't bring the S from his last name to the end of his first name. That gets you in some trouble, Carl.
Well, the argument at the 5th pick is, are the Bengals going to go with protection for Burrow or a weapon for Burrow? And I think you got to protect your franchise. So I think they're going to take Sewell. When the Bengals released their uniforms like a couple of weeks ago, there was a picture of Burrow sitting on a throne, and you saw a nice scar going down his entire kneecap from his ACL in surgery. So I think that's a sign that they're going to protect their franchise. I know it's a deep class on the interior offensive line, but when you could take a franchise left tackle to protect your quarterback, I think you got to do it. So I think they're going to go with Sewell.
Travis.
The Bengals are another interesting case because rumors are that Joe Burrow is campaigning to get his old wide receiver Jamar Chase out of LSU, which is interesting because we as we all know pretty much at this point, you had Justin Herbert and him were drafted in the same class, and Justin Herbert is out here campaigning to get Penei Sewell if he falls to the Chargers because they were teammates in Oregon. But I think you have to go with the left tackle to protect Joe Burrow, because like Chuck said, that nasty knee, he tore up his whole knee in his rookie year. Yes, would it be great to have Jamar Chase? But I think at this point, you got to build this team from the inside out, and you got to make sure that the franchise quarterback is protected.
Declan, would you agree with the rest of the panel here?
100%. For the sake of saving time, I think Sewell is the absolute pick there. You got to protect your franchise guy, especially after you got mauled by Chase Young, who's one of the best defensive ends in the league. Got to protect the edges.
Mm-hmm. And Manny Schefter in the comments saying, don't forget Bengals got Randy Moss's son. So as we move along, we got Rick's Dolphins here at the 6th pick. Top needs, wide receiver, defensive line, offensive line, running back. Tua, what do you surround him with? At this point, they're saying Devonta Smith is available and Jamar Chase as well. Travis, what are your thoughts?
I think we can all pretty much come to a consensus that you need weapons around Tua at this point. I think they are in an interesting position depending on what the Falcons do, because I think that's where I think if the Bengals go with the offensive line and depending on what the Falcons do, the Dolphins might be in a position to have their option of all three of those top guys. You can throw Waddle in there as well. So you could have your choice of Devontae Smith, maybe Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase. I think you go what you feel is the top rated weapon on your board at that time. So whoever that is left on the board, I think you take them.
Chuck?
I agree with Travis. I think it's going to come down to whatever is left over. The only thing that could happen is if Pitts goes 4 and then Chase goes 5, do they take Sewell or do they go for Waddle like Travis said, or even Smith? So I think Miami's going to do whatever Atlanta and Cincy do in front of them.
Declan?
Yeah, I think that the pick here is going to be Jamar Chase. You got to surround Tua with weapons. Chuck brings up a great point, although I think the Bengals are going to take Sewell. If they ever decide to reunite Joe Burrow with his college teammate and took Chase, I think the pick would actually be Smith here. I think the Dolphins have him ranked higher than Jalen Waddle. But otherwise, I think they're going Chase. I think they're going to go receiver for sure.
We move along. We got the Lions at the 7th pick. What are
this
their
is
needs?
tricky.
Right. No, I don't think anybody knows what the hell the Lions are going to do.
Well, here we go with the top needs according to NFL.com: wide receiver, linebacker, safety, corner, offensive line. Travis.
I could see the Lions being the ones to trade out of this pick, to be honest. I think that's their best. I think that's what they're going to end up doing because, yes, they have Jared Goff. Do I think they're 100% sold on him for the future? Don't think so. They did gain a couple first-round picks from that pick with the Rams to send Matt Stafford away. So I think it's possible that they're the target point, I think, in the first target point in this draft for one of those teams in the teams, like the Patriots or whoever those quarterback the Broncos. I think that number 6 pick or so is, or what are we at?
You're seventh.
Seventh. I think that 7th pick is the first target for a trade spot right there. I think the Lions end up trading out of that spot.
And they're trading, you're thinking, for a wide receiver or something defensively? Because
I think they'll end up trading for draft picks. Whoever wants to move up is going to send them some draft picks because I think there's going to be at least 1 or 2 of the quarterbacks still left on the board. So I think somebody's moving up to that spot to get one of those quarterbacks.
Declan, do you agree with your thoughts here with the Lions? Because you said it's pretty tricky here at this point in 7.
Yeah, I think this is the toughest pick in the draft, in my opinion. I think Travis really hit it, though. I think if trading that pick is a serious possibility for the Lions, so I'm with him on that. Me and him, we always kind of have the similar opinions in that regard. But I'm going to have to say, I think that they're going to be in between 2 guys. They're going to be in between a tackle, Rashawn Slater, and I kind of want my Giants to get him, but I don't think they will. Micah Parsons at the linebacker spot would be a nice guy, defensive cornerstone to kind of start that franchise, similar to how the Carolina Panthers did with Luke Kuechly. Shout out to Sal. That was his little comp there, and I don't even think that's bad. I think that kind of works. So I'm going to go Parsons, but if not Parsons, I think they go Slater.
Chuck.
I think if one of the blue chippers fall, they probably stay in a spot and get like a Sewell or a Chase or maybe even a Smith. But I think Travis and Declan are right. They're probably going to trade out of this pick. They have a bunch of needs. I think this is where New England looks to, grab Fields or Lance, who are now falling. So I honestly think they trade out of it. They need a lot of help on both sides of the ball. So if they could cash in and pick up some more picks, I think they do it in a heartbeat.
We have our resident Panthers fan. You're on the clock with the 8th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The Carolina Panthers select Travis.
We are not. We might trade out of this one as well.
That's not answering the question. You don't trade.
That's an answer.
Okay, time out.
That's a high possibility here.
Again, listen. Time out. Rewind. With the 8th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select.
Ooh, this is a hard one, right?
You had a tough time answering questions as a student, didn't you? You had a tough. You did. You had a tough time answering questions.
Because you're hit. All right, we just traded away Teddy Bridgewater, so we have no backup or veteran quarterback in that situation. I think what's the deadline on picking up 5th-year options? Because I think that's coming. We haven't done that.
We saw a lot today.
I think it's like Monday. We haven't necessarily done that with Sam Darnold yet. You're hearing rumors that the Panthers are sitting here saying they're not exactly, it's not a definite that they're out of the quarterback market. But I think we would end up taking one of those tackles if they're still left on the board, or we might take that top cornerback, Patrick Surtain. If we go that route, we could use some help at the cornerback position, or we trade out of that position, Carl. I know you don't want to hear that, but those are the 3 options on the board for us right there, man.
Right, but I mean, clearly getting Sam Darnold, you would believe that that's the quarterback starting going into next season. But
you would believe,
going into next season. But we didn't pick up. I mean, I think we have until Monday, but we haven't picked up his 5th-year option yet. So you don't know. It's not necessarily sold. Like, you're hearing rumors out of the Panthers that it's not 100% sure that they don't draft a quarterback. So if one of the quarterbacks fall that they really liked, it would be nuts to do it, but it's plausible.
Trav, you know what's like kind of like really good business by the Panthers though? If I'm Bill Belichick or if I'm Vic Fangio in Denver, and if I know I want a quarterback, and I see that it's Thursday and they still haven't picked up Sam Darnold's option. Now I'm thinking like, do I got to trade with these guys to get my guy instead of waiting to see if the chips fall and not having it in your power? So I think that's kind of good business. I think they'll pick it up.
Yeah, it could be a
Sunday.
shell game. I'm pretty sure they could be playing a shell game, but we'll see what happens. I think if they don't trade out of that pick, I think we go corner, or if Penei Sewell is still on the board. I don't know how they feel about Slater, but if Sewell's still on the board, I think we either go Sewell or Surtain.
Chuck, what are your thoughts with the Panthers?
I think the Panthers are just using smoke screens by not picking up Darnold's option. By not doing that, still leaves the door open that, they could take a quarterback. So it's just going to raise the stock of their pick. So like Declan said, if New England gets on the horn or if Denver gets on the horn, they could say, if they don't offer enough, they could say, no, we're going to take, a Fields or a Lance. But if they had picked up Darnold's option, then those teams know Panthers aren't taking a quarterback. So they're more, likely to trade out of the pick. So I think the Panthers are going to just try to drive up the bargain until they're officially on the clock and then trade out of that pick. Hopefully it's not to New England so they can get Fields. I would be very upset with that.
Chuck, Travis, we have someone in the comments. Special shout out to one of our producers, Speedy. He said, Jace Horn is a good option for the Panthers too. Dante Jackson is decent number 2 corner, but not a number 1. What are your thoughts on that?
I would agree with that. The issue, I don't think either of the top corners in this draft, whether it be Sehorn or Surtain, are exactly. I think they're both more zone corners. I wouldn't necessarily come out and say that they're going to be dominant, man to man, those Patrick Peterson types, that you can sit there. I think they're going to be more zone type corners. But I think Patrick Surtain is the better of the two. So therefore, he'll definitely be on the board at that 8th pick. Because I don't think there's a good chance we might not see a defensive player go off the board until 8 or 9 or maybe even in the top 10. So I think he'll be on the board, and I think he's the better of the 2 top corners. So even though they are both legacy kids.
I didn't even get to give my opinion on this.
I thought you did. I
kind of did. No, I'm just messing with you.
I'm
messing with you. But can I just say, I do have kind of a hot take on this. I think and guess who had it first? Of course, it was Chuck Baldy. Everyone knows. Chuck said that watch out for the Panthers and the Patriots to do some groundwork on a trade. And yesterday it broke that they were starting to have a little conversation to see if it happens. I think this is the pick where Justin Fields goes at 8 to the New England Patriots.
Well, Declan, since you're rocking the Broncos apparel, I figured I'd go to you first. The Broncos have the next pick at 9. Are you a representation of the Andrew Vantage show? Can you speak on his behalf? He is not here. But since he is a loyal Broncos fan and he's always in the hit list streets, could you speak on his behalf and could you tell us possibly where they may lean towards with this 9th pick? Have you been talking to Andrew's personnel?
Talking to him, yes.
Yeah, and what is he leaning towards?
I've been going through his assistants, to get. He's a busy guy. God knows what that guy's thinking. I have no idea. But I can say this. I think that the pick here would be Trey Lance, especially after trading for a guy like Teddy Bridgewater. I don't think Teddy's going to Denver to back up. I think that my maybe even a bigger hot take of the Belichick trade is I think Drew Lock may get moved within the next 48 hours, 24 to 48 hours, depending on if he goes before the draft. And I think they're going to go with Trey Lance here. If they don't go with Trey Lance, or if for some reason Trey Lance goes to San Francisco, if Carolina pulls a rock, I don't think they'll take a quarterback. Or if he even goes to the Falcons or something, then I think they'll go with Kwity Paye, the edge from Michigan.
They're coming, before we move along, they're coming for you for wearing a Broncos jersey. I think they're questioning your fandom because you're a Giants fan.
No. So, let me explain myself. So, first of all, who's coming for me?
Who else? Who do you think?
It's Manny Schefter. Yes. Listen, the reason I'm wearing this Broncos jersey is because I'll be on Andrew's show, and I like to show some respect to the host. I think that's the right thing to do. I'm coming on strictly to talk about the number 9 pick and who the Broncos are going to go with. So why not rock some apparel? I wanted to rock a Peyton Manning jersey, but I couldn't find it. I thought it made sense since the Trevor Lawrence comparisons. But instead, I got to go with Eric Decker, who, nothing really to say there. Love Eric Decker, but still.
Chuck, so needs, even though they got Teddy Bridgewater, it's still a quarterback is still listed as a top need. So couldn't they just cross that off their list? Like, what do you still need another quarterback for if you just traded for one?
Well, I think with Lance, I think it's all well known that he probably needs to sit a year. So the Broncos could be adding for their future, especially if Drew Lock underperforms once again this year and they decide to move on. They have Lance ready. They could go offensive line here. They might go corner. They have a lot of options too. They can even trade out of the pick now that they did acquire Teddy. Also, speaking on Teddy real quick, Travis, I said on Falco's show yesterday that the Panthers could look to trade Teddy and then trade for Garoppolo to back up Sam, if that's a possibility. Wow. And part one already happened like 24 hours.
That'd be an interesting quarterback room right there.
So
I think that Locke is going to wind up going to the Steelers.
Right.
That might be too expensive from a cap standpoint.
It's possible. I mean, he was a second-round draft pick, though. He wasn't a first-round. I'm sorry, Chuck. Go ahead.
Yeah, but with Denver is that they have I think it all depends on what happens the 8 picks in front of them, who falls, who's available. It's a possibility that they can even trade out to Chicago or to the football team, and they get their quarterback of the future. Because I don't think the football team is going to love, Taylor Heineke for their future, and I don't think the Bears are going to love Andy Dalton for their future.
So, Travis, at this point in the draft, it's a matter of who's still available. But again, it goes to the other point about what do the Broncos really need?
I think the Broncos are set at one or two positions. You might get one of those quarterbacks who fall to you, or I think they go the linebacker out of Penn State, Mike Parsons. I think is it Micah?
Micah Parsons. Yeah,
Micah Parsons. Because if you think about the head coach, man, I can't remember the head coach's name. Vic Fangio. Look at some of the places he's been. And look at the defenses he had when he was in San Francisco. He had NaVorro Bowman and
he was in Chicago also.
Before that, I'm trying to think. It was NaVorro Bowman and
Patrick Willis.
Yeah. And then in Chicago, he had the 2 stud linebackers there. He's always had stud linebackers in that defense. So I think you take Micah Parsons, you put him right there in the middle of that defense. You got Von Miller for another year or so. So therefore, I think you can draft him and rock out and see what you can do with that defense.
Okay.
I like that.
Moving along, I'm trying to get in contact with him. I haven't seen him in a while. Cowboy Nation is on the clock. I contacted Mr. Ray Nell, our self-proclaimed commissioner, to see who he wants to pick. I'm trying to get in contact with his representatives. He's probably at the draft table right now trying to figure out his paperwork.
Right. I was in Dallas a couple weeks ago.
Listen, I'm still upset at you about that because you didn't go live to let the people know you were in Cowboy. Jerry Jones. Yeah, come on, man.
I was at the stadium. I was trying to find Jerry Jones's war room, you know what I mean, so I could have a conversation with him. But he was hiding.
You in Jerry Land, and you don't let us know that you could get you a live exclusive of you there. Come on, man, that hurt. Like, let us know.
I had to leave early and didn't even get the full tour.
It don't matter. Even if you gave us 10 seconds, I would have been fine. I could have made a promo out of 10 seconds, bro. You know me. I could cut that in 2 minutes. But the Cowboys are on the clock, according to NFL.com. They need a cornerback, offensive line, safety, defensive line, linebacker. Travis, what are your thoughts here with the Cowboys heading into this draft at the number 10 pick?
I think their best bet will be cornerback at this point. Since I'm going to put Patrick Surtain with my Panthers, I'll put J.C. Horn at that spot. They brought in Dan Quinn, who's going to bring that Seattle cover 3 defense. I think J.C. Horn will be a great zone cornerback, so he should be a good fit there. I think we've all heard the rumors that Jerry Jones is infatuated with Kyle Pitts, but there's no way he gets to him. I mean, but the Cowboys I'm not gonna say the Cowboys, because I think the Cowboys have a pretty good front office and scouting department. Jerry Jones would be crazy enough to try and trade up and get
his son is gonna have to talk him out of it, like he did with Johnny Manziel.
His son is gonna have to tie him down to a seat somewhere so he doesn't trade up and try and get Kyle Pitts. But I think cornerback is the best position for them right now.
Chuck, what do you think here with the Cowboys?
I don't understand the Cowboys fans that are pulling for them to go get Kyle Pitts. Is that because they want to lose games 45-42 instead of 45-35? Like, Pitts does not make sense for the Cowboys. They have a potent offense already. They should go defense, go and get Surtain, let him play opposite side of Diggs, 2 Alabama boys, and just rock.
But listen, Chuck, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but according to CBS, which is where you work, right? They listed Kyle Pitts as number 3. If they're ranking the top prospects, Kyle Pitts is listed at 3. I'm just letting you know what CBS.
Because we know everybody agree that some believe Kyle Pitts is the second or third. It depends. First, second, or third best talented player overall in the draft.
They're grouping him in with the receivers too.
Right. The problem is he just plays tight end. That's the problem.
Well, I mean, with Kyle Pitts, he can play tight end and receiver. Like, he's a very different prospect than what we've seen. I think that is why he's overall one of the best, if not the best draft prospect in the whole draft. But I do think that this opens up the conversation of drafting the best player on the board versus drafting needs. I think that, first of all, I don't even think Kyle Pitts is going to get anywhere near 10.
Nowhere near.
But I think that if Jerry Jones and if Dallas is going to learn from anything, like Chuck said, they were losing games and they were putting up 40 points. Ray might want to go call it garbage time or whatever, but even still, they're losing games 45, 42, 41, 38. You're going to want to get the guy. I think they get Patrick Surtain. I don't think he's going to be taken unless the Panthers, for whatever reason, didn't trade out of that pick. I think they will trade out of it, but I'm going to have to go with Surtain there for the Cowboys.
Chuck, thoughts on your CBS and having him as a top 3 ranking wise?
No, listen, I mean, multiple people have put the generational label on Kyle Pitts because his size, his measurements, his speed and everything, the way he plays. And I agree. He's a phenomenal, talented player. And so he should definitely be 3, but it would be dumb for the Cowboys to trade up to get him because they already have the players on offense to score. They should look towards fixing their defense or maybe even their offensive line, but they shouldn't add another skill position player. They already have Lamb, Cooper, Gallup, Dak's back. They have Elliott. Have Pollard. Like, after a certain amount of time, you start running out of positions to play people. So they should go fix their corner position, put Surtain on the opposite side of Diggs, and just go ahead and go win the NFC least.
Okay, so Surtain is what you guys
this
have.
Guy. I hope Pitts falls to them. So every time they lose, I can text Ray a nice text that reads "Rest in Pitts." I really want it. I really want it to happen.
Following the Cowboys, we have the New York Giants at the 11th pick. Could this be Daniel Jones's breakthrough year if they get him what he needs in his 3rd year, a playmaker, improved protection? So same thing I did for Travis with the 11th pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. The New York Giants select Declan.
Jalen Waddle, wide receiver.
Because
that's who I think they go with. Well, because I think, like you said, we're going to need this to be the year for Daniel Jones. If he doesn't produce, he's out of here. They already surrounded him. They got Kenny Golladay in free agency. I think they look to build on these weapons. They got Darius Slayton. Shepard, although he's like a 5-6 year receiver, I think that with the concussions, everything, he's always injured. Between Slayton and Shepard, one of them is going to be out. Having 4 receivers in a dynamic passing league like today that can produce for you is never a bad thing. If they don't go with Waddle, I think they'll go with Parsons if he's still around. But I'm pretty confident, and I know that's a scary thing to say with Dave Gettleman as your GM, but I'm pretty confident in Jalen Waddle as the pick there.
Travis, the thoughts on the Giants? I mean, they came close to winning the division. They were a game away from it.
They did.
Like Declan, if Parsons makes it to them, he's an option for them. But I think one of the Alabama receivers ends up on that team, whether it be Waddle or Smith is the question. Me personally, I would go with Waddle simply because that speed right there that he has is going to be dangerous. It's going to keep a safety out the box which will help Saquon Barkley in the run game because you have to respect Jalen Waddle's speed right there. I think when it comes to Devontae Smith, he's going to be more of a route runner, I think. And I don't think we got an official 40 time on him, so I don't know how fast. I know he ain't as fast as Jalen Waddle. So therefore, I think Jalen Waddle would be the better pick for them, for the Giants to take.
Chuck.
Giants have 3 options: offensive line, linebacker, trade back. If Fields or Lance fall, I think this is, where they finally get taken. The Giants, you protect and open up the lanes for your franchise, Saquon Barkley. You took him at 2. You go out there, you provide the holes for him. If you don't go offensive line because you don't like Slater or Darashaw or or AVT or whoever else is left on the board at that pick, then you go linebacker. You got Parsons. You got the kid out of Notre Dame. You got the kid out of Kentucky, Javen Davis. Yeah. So you take offensive line, or if you don't want to do that, you go with the line. The Giants need athletic people in their linebacker room. They only have Blake Martinez, so it would be nice for them to add a player of Parsons' ability. So if Parsons is there, I think they take him.
One more quick question, since this is our home team here in New York. Declan, how much pressure is on Danny Dimes to produce this year? And would you say this is his final opportunity in New York?
Yes. Yeah, I think all the pressure's on him. I've always said it a lot. Year 3 is really important for young quarterbacks. It's the make or break year. You either go a Josh Allen route or you go a Mitch Trubisky route. And I think floor and ceiling, I don't think he's going to be as good as Josh Allen. I don't think he's going to be as bad as Mitch Trubisky. But floor and ceiling are definitely within the vicinity there. This is a make or break year. You're going to get all the talent. You're going to surround him with this guy, with all these guys. If you don't make the playoffs, he doesn't do good. You're going to see him and Gettleman out of town, which is a bittersweet moment because you get one guy that you thought could be your franchise quarterback gone. But then you get a guy that you never thought was going to be a good GM finally out. Why would you bring a Boston guy to lead a New York team? Mistake number 1.
Carl, are we ready to have the Justin Fields conversation yet? Let us know when we're ready to get to that
Listen. I was just going to get to the point where I was going to say, outside of I know Chuck wanted to talk about, I guess I got to the 11th pick because it was the New York team. Outside of that, are there any other teams that we're intrigued about to see what moves they make going into this draft? That's beyond the 11th pick. So clearly, we got the Raiders. Beyond that, we have all the other teams. Any other team that stands out to you?
Nobody's interested in what the Raiders do except man.
No one.
Let's be real. There are a lot of other interesting teams that we're interested in how their draft plans out. Nobody cares about what happens with the Raiders, and I don't care if Manny gets mad or not.
All right. So, is there any other team?
Trav.
Is there any other team that we're intrigued to find out what picks they make beyond the 11th pick? Chuck?
Yes.
Well,
I want to see what New England does at 15. I don't know if Bill's going to sit there, waiting to see who falls to him. I think he's going to go make a move. I think the Jets could be a team to trade up if a lineman that Joe Douglas likes, is still available in the teens. They got a boatload of picks. This is your time to, start cashing in on them and go move up and get your guy. Who else is? Other than that, the Ravens have 2 first rounders. I want to see if they go out and get another weapon for Lamar, and I want to see the Packers do right by Aaron Rodgers and go get him a wide receiver.
Well, I mean, your Jets again, as you said, they have a second pick. And what are their thoughts there?
So they pick at 23. A lot of people are mocking a running back to them. I don't know why. We know you don't take running backs in the first round unless it's like an absolute need, later on in the round. The Jets need a lot more than just a running back, all right? So they're not taking a running back. They're either going to go offensive lineman or corner. So, I mean, I would rather them take the corner because I think the corner talent is better earlier on in the draft, and there's not much depth compared to the offensive line. So I would like to see them maybe a Greg Newsome. If Farley, if his medicals turn out right, I would like to see them take him. If Horn falls, I would love to see him. Who else is? And I think that's it. But I would like to see a corner at 23 and then an offensive lineman at 34.
Travis, anything else that stands out to you outside of the top 11 that you'd say you're intrigued to see what happens?
Like Chuck said, the Patriots, I want to see if they're going to. We all know over the years, Bill has always been about trading back into the draft. So let's see if he went against his normal pattern in free agency this year. Let's see if he goes against his normal pattern when it comes to the draft. I'm interested to see what the Dolphins do. They have a lot of picks. I want to see how that team what kind of talent they get around Tua. The Ravens with their 2 later first round picks. I'm interested to see. I feel like those 2 picks somehow have to turn into a wide receiver. Whether they trade for one or whether they draft one, because they have struck out as far as free agency and getting wide receivers into that organization. So I'm interested to see how that works out for them. What other teams? The Steelers, I'm kind of interested to see what they do. They're in a weird position, I believe. I mean, you got Big Ben coming back for another year. He didn't exactly finish the year off great. I mean, shout out to Declan. He called it on the whole team.
Thanks.
Yeah, they got the 24th pick. Yeah.
Right. The offensive line is kind of in a transition. They had a retirement. They lost some players in free agency. I mean, a lot of mock drafts have them going the running back route. But my thing is, okay, if the offensive line is in somewhat of a shambles, is drafting a running back the best possible option right there? We know they're stacked on defense. So, I mean, there are a lot of teams that I'm interested to see how they go about in this draft.
Declan, what other teams are you possibly interested in to see what moves they make?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a good 30 teams that I'm interested in to see what they do in the first round. I think there's a lot to get to, so I'll get to it quick. I think that the Cardinals are going to go with J.C. Horn. I know he's a kind of more of a zone quarter, not that Pat Pete, prototype kind of guy, but I think they're going to look to fill a little bit of a void now that Pat Pete's gone, and that team is going for it this year. They're going to try to win that division or more so get a wild card spot. So I think that's going to be big to see what they do. I think that the Pats do trade up, as I've said, probably a good 75 times too many today. I think they'll trade up to 8. And I think that the Panthers are going to get Caleb Farley, the cornerback. I know he just got COVID. I think he'll be all right. I'm not really too worried about how he progresses, further. Obviously, we know COVID's serious, but in terms of his draft status, I think he'll still be fine. Athletes get it all the time. And I think he'll go at 15. I think the Jets, and this is where I kind of disagree with Chuck. I don't think they're going to go for a corner. I actually think they're going to take Jalen Phillips, the edge out of Miami. I think that's the pick that would work for them. Otherwise, if they ever had a lineman fall to them, I think that would be good. However, I think Christian Darrisaw is going to go to the Colts at 21. And I think that the Steelers are going to take Mike Pouncey's replacement now that he retired and go with Landon Erickson, the center out of Alabama, with the 24th pick we said?
Yeah.
We could see the Jaguars trade down. I would agree with Chuck 100%. I'd like to see the Packers take a receiver. Elijah Moore is a name that sticks out to me. And I think the Saints will take Terrace Marshall Jr., the receiver out of LSU, keep him home there and have him catch passes from Jameis Winston this year. And I think as I wrap up, I think that the Bucs will go with Gregory Rosso. I don't know how he's going to slip that far. I think he's excellent defensive end out of Miami. I don't think he should have ever went this far, but again, they're going to pick the best guy on board, and that's going to be him. As far as Najee Harris goes and Asante Samuel Jr., I'm dead split on what the Bills are going to do. If they're going to go try to get a running back, as we've mentioned before, throughout the playoffs, their top rusher was Josh Allen. They didn't have a running back rusher over 27 yards in the 3 playoff games they played, which is unacceptable. So they might try to fix that there with Harris. The offense in Buffalo is their strength. If they wanted to go defense to get a corner to line up, up opposite of Tre'Davious White, excuse me. I think that would be a good move to get Samuel. I'm dead split on them. I think they'll go either or. Again, it depends on who's on the board if someone trades up for Harris. But that's all I got for now.
I really like that fit. I'm sorry. I really like that fit of Harris to the Bills if he makes it to them. He's a physical running back.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Out of the backfield. I like that fit. That's a good one.
Before we get to the Justin Fields that Travis wants to talk about, have the Steelers set up their future for post Big Ben era?
No.
And why wouldn't that be a primary focus going into the draft, knowing he's older, clearly past his prime? Wouldn't that necessarily be a focus for them to focus on getting a quarterback?
It's a focus, but not when you're at 24. I feel like if Ben is the quarterback that I think he's going to be next year, we could see them be a 7-win team. I know that sounds crazy, but I think they're going to be third place in that division potentially, or second. So if they can get in the teens next year and potentially trade up, it's a weak quarterback class. So we might see Ben for another year or two. And if they trade for a guy like Drew Lock, could even see Jimmy G be moved there if they restructured the contract or if they just cut him outright. Mac Jones would make a lot of sense if he fell. I don't think he will. Mac Jones would also make a lot of sense if he fell to Washington. I think Washington will take a linebacker out of Notre Dame. But as far as that goes, that's kind of what I see here.
Trav, on Big Ben?
The Steelers are in an interesting position because they won a lot. They're a good team. They're a talented team. So therefore, you're picking in the later parts of the draft. So therefore, if they didn't pick up Dwayne Haskins, I would say the Steelers would be one of those teams who could reach for one of those second or maybe third round, not one of those quarterbacks who don't necessarily have a higher grade.
That Davis guy.
And Kyle Trask and Davis is the kid out of Texas A&M, right?
Name. Yeah, Texas.
Yeah,
but Mills is out of Stanford, and you're thinking of Kellen Mond.
Kellen Mond,
Right,
yes,
Kellen Mond. Because by taking the quarterback in the first round, you get that extra fifth-year option. But the fact that they picked up Dwayne Haskins, I'm not going to sit here and say they're sold on him, but I think he's their project QB for now. I don't think you have two project QBs on your roster. So therefore, I think they're just going to have to go with the best talent available, and they're in a situation where they're not in a position to pick Ben Roethlisberger's successor, maybe in the later rounds. But like I said, I think it's different. You're right. And shout out to Manny for mentioning the loss of James Conner. So that leaves a gaping hole in their offense. But I don't think they're in a position to carry two project quarterbacks right now.
Chuck,
we could see
agree?
Haskins get cut too. It's possible.
That is true. But like I said, I don't think so. I think Mike Tomlin will give him a shot to get it together.
Chuck, I think we'll give him a year.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're going to try to maximize however much left in the tank Ben has, mostly because of cap. Ben makes a lot of money, and I don't think they have the cap to sit out a quarterback. Like Travis said, they signed Dwayne Haskins as a reclamation project to get him back to what the football team thought he was going to be when they took him. I could see them take a running back to help out Ben, or an offensive lineman, which also helps out Ben. So either way, their pick at 24 is going to help Ben and the offense. Their defense is phenomenal, so I don't think they need to do something on that side of the ball in the first round, but they could definitely take, as Declan said, a Najee Harris, and I think that'll be a good fit for them. So I think that no matter what, their pick is going to help Ben and maximize his window.
Okay, and Travis, you wanted to talk about Justin Fields. You wanted to talk something about what's up?
I mean, it seems Justin Fields has been the hot topic player of the draft. And I just found it interesting because we've had the debate a lot within the chat about, his falling through the draft or his potential falling through the draft. And I found it interesting for the simple fact that it seems I've heard some more, and it seems that there are two sides to the Justin Fields thing. There are the NFL circle, which is, scouts, GMs, evaluators, where all the fall and negative comments seem to be coming. But if you listen to people outside of the NFL circle, like the college analysts and people who aren't necessarily within that NFL circle, they still will sit here and tell you Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft. So I just find it interesting of where he's going to actually end up at, because he might be a victim of the smear campaign simply so he can fall to a certain team that wants him. But then in the draft, I think it might have been Chris Sims who came out with a mock draft saying that that Justin Fields would fall to, that he would fall to Tampa Bay at the 32nd pick. But my issue with that is that necessarily something to be very upset about? I don't think it is, simply because I think, especially with young QBs, it's not always when you go in the draft, but where you go. I think
Lamar went 32.
Right. Lamar Jackson, prime example right there. Can we sit here? Do any of us want to sit here and say that Lamar Jackson would be an MVP winner, would be a top 5 QB in this league if he ended up with any other team besides the Ravens?
Not even close.
I don't think so. Because the Ravens are a special type of organization that were willing to create an offense around him. Same with say in that same draft, Sam Darnold and the kid with the Bills. If they were in this opposite situations, I'm pretty sure Sam Darnold would be relatively successful up there with the Bills with that offensive coordinator.
That's possible. It's good coaching up there too. That is very
exactly
possible.
So sometimes the situation of where you end up could be a blessing. Like dropping later in that draft. I mean, think about it. You're in an organization that they're a winning organization. They're a more stable organization. They have better coaching. I mean, if he did drop to Tampa Bay, would that be the worst situation to actually learn behind Tom Brady and Bruce Arians? Bruce Arians, who has coached some of the best quarterbacks the league has seen in the past 20 years. Would that be the absolute worst situation for him?
That's
I
a
don't
good
think
question.
so. But I mean, I just saw my draft having him drop to your Panthers. So I mean, it's
yeah, he's all over the place. Like it's so weird because like I said, the NFL circle are the ones where the negative comments seem to be coming from. But if you listen to outside the NFL circles, like I said, the draft, the college analysts and guys who aren't necessarily NFL affiliated, they will sit here and still tell you Justin Fields is the second best quarterback in this draft, and they don't understand what's going on and why people aren't seeing that.
Well, now they're running this epilepsy thing, like that's why he's sliding. I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's because he was already sliding before that news came out. That came out like last week.
Yeah, it's kind of like the media hype train. They bump up Wilson, knock down Fields. We've seen it before. They did it with Allen. They bumped him up to 1. The Browns taking him at 1. The Bills took him at 7. We've seen it before.
Right.
Now, do you guys normally have draft parties for all 3 days of the draft? Is it something you stay home and watch the entire thing?
I mean,
like what's the draft process when it comes to the NFL?
I mean, I tune into I'm usually locked in for the first round. It's 3 nights because it used to be just it used to be the weekend, but it's 3 nights now. So second round, I tune in. I pay attention to what's going on that second night. And the third night, I'm just kind of like, okay, I'm looking on my phone. You know what I mean?
It's not even on for me, honestly.
Right. Like, yeah, those are the later round picks. You know, I look to see what my team's doing. I might keep an eye on a couple players. But, yeah, after that second night, it's kind of like, okay, what's going on? Then I'm looking to see what the overall draft grades are for these teams.
But the level of excitement is always there, no matter what year it is for the draft.
Second round picks for your team are very exciting. Right. I would say second round picks for your team are more exciting than late first round picks for other teams that you're not a fan of.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure the group chat, the Facebook group is going to be flooded with comments about who picks what. I'm excited to see what you guys have to say. Before we sign off, I figured I'd touch upon the NBA topic that has the world buzzing right now because there's nothing to talk about because we're all just waiting for the playoffs.
Dr. NBA, y'all got too many games.
You were warned. You were warned that this would happen, Carl. You were warned.
Warned about
by
what?
Travis. That to have NFL off for this long was just a bad move. Because I
never said no. But listen, you guys needed an offseason. Everybody else gets an offseason.
Everyone needs an offseason.
No, baseball had an offseason. NBA had their offseason. And again, you guys had your show. You got a Sunday show and a Wednesday show. You needed a break.
But our offseason is so actually interesting. You know what I mean? So therefore, there's still news to
listen. It could be argued though. The NBA offseason is a lot better than the regular season.
I would get because y'all have free agency.
Free agency.
I don't think I necessarily get the same hype around the draft.
No, not
the
at
NFL
all.
No, like I said, outside of the top 5 picks or so, you're kind of like, okay.
Oh, well, Manny's saying baseball needs to be on the live. You guys need to tell me what you want. Listen, you guys know how it operates. The same thing I tell hockey and all these other guys. You guys say, hey, Carl, we need airtime to talk about something. You get it. You're not telling me you need airtime. Right. And part of the problem with that is that Greg is taking all the baseball segments for Smoke and Mirrors. So I have nothing to talk about. Greg will do 3 hours of baseball on his show, and then you expect me to cover baseball on Wednesday? Right. Absolutely not. Dude, not happening, Captain. No.
You gotta understand, Manny. I'm in the chats all the time tagging Carl. Come on now. Talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
Yeah, that's true.
That's how
you know what I'll say? You know what I'll say? Greg and I and Steph, we've made the show in baseball season. It's going to be very baseball. And I bet you more people have come to us to say, let's talk baseball on the show instead of going to, the baseball segment has kind of transferred to its own show here. And I think that's great because we can still come on the best show out there right now is the hit list. No matter, I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. Look at the viewership. Look at the interactions. That's where it's at right now. So we can. I mean,
but listen,
dude, you can come on.
Yeah, I don't mind talking baseball. It's just like I said, Greg takes up all the segments. I'm like, all right, what the hell am I going to talk about now? Because Greg will come up with like 6
Carl,
talk about.
Carl, you could live stream horses walking around in a circle in your backyard and still get 1,000 views. That's just what it is. Yeah. Everyone knows it. But what I'll say quickly, because I know we're under the gun here. In regards to baseball, obviously everyone needs their off season. But yeah, that's really it. I'm gonna be honest. I totally forgot what I was just gonna say. Oh, never mind. I remember now. I hope that the Panthers make this trade so I can have an excuse to bring Travis on Smoke and Mirrors.
All right. But like
that's
I
my
said,
hope.
I need some smoke and mirrors love.
before I let you guys go, the NBA topic is Julius Erving. If you haven't heard, he doesn't have LeBron as one of his top players. His two best.
I thought you was going to come with the Steph question.
Steph Curry. Yeah. Well, listen. Because it's around the time where right now I believe NBA fans don't really care about the season, and it's kind of like the players don't really care, so no one's really paying attention. We're kind of like we're supposed to be in the playoffs, but we're not. At this point, this is the narratives that are circling the streets just to get people to clickbait and talk about it. But Dr. J said he wasn't going to put, LeBron in any of his two teams because he's the guy who led the charge of the super teams. So the entire super teams conversation starts again of who started the super teams, and everyone's upset, and all the LeBronians are pissed off because Dr. J did not put him in their in his top five. Here's what I have to say to that: as a matter of it's his list. He can say whatever he wants. Right. It's his list. Like everyone's entitled to their opinion. Doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. And I think people get too butthurt about what a legend and the time that he played about what he wants of his top players. We know how the old school think. We know their mindset. We know they don't like this buddy NBA. So why are we in the hit list streets, or why are we fans all bent out of shape because he did not put LeBron on his top list? It's ridiculous.
Because he got nothing better to talk about. You're totally right. You're absolutely right.
Like you said, the LeBronian fans, once they hear LeBron has been slighted, you know what I mean? They come full force. You know what I mean? It is what it is with them.
I get it. He's a polarizing player, but at the end of the day, like I said, the old school 80s players and they have a different mindset because Dr. J probably doesn't believe he was going to go join up with Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas. He was too busy trying to beat them.
He was going to punch him in the face. He was punching them in the face. That's absolutely, what they are. That's what it is there. But you know what? Like, also, a lot of those guys believe, and there is definitely some truth to it. Like back then, they played much better defense, and it's a different era. So that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I just find it funny how, like, again, we know how to bait easily. How to bait. Anytime I bait, we know how to do it well, and it never fails. It never fails. And ESPN is doing it right now with Dr. J's comments. They have the headline on Instagram. It never fails. Anything you want to bait people, all you have to do is just disrespect LeBron. You'll get a bunch of comments, get a bunch of people in their feelings, and it goes haywire for no reason. For what? To me, it's crazy. It's like, just let it go. Like the back and forth, just let it go and move on to something else. And I think NBA fans are just starving for the playoffs at this point. You know, so
exactly. This is why y'all need to cut them games down. See, y'all
they're not going to cut the games. They're not going to cut. I
know y'all want to have 80. How many games they had this season? What is it?
I think
this
season is 72. This year 72?
Yeah. 72. Okay, but what happens to make up those extra games are the play-in tournament now. That's what's going to make up the rest of those games of the.
So a 27 and 33 team is going to fight for a playoff spot. Only in the NBA.
Yeah. Chuck, any comments on your Knicks, real quick, while I have you? I think your Knicks are playing well, man. You're not talking shit to me. I don't know.
Hit the damn music. Tibbs, Coach of the Year. Julius Randle, MVP. Emmanuel Quickly, Rookie of the Year. We are back. I'm ready to go to 34th Street and 7th Avenue in my blue and orange and just rock out. All right, I'm hyped. Like
he's so excited.
When the Knicks are good, it's good for basketball. All right.
You see, here we go. You see,
it's so funny about the Knicks because here we are. Knicks fans are so excited to be relevant again, but they're still number 2 in their own city. Like that's the crazy part.
Listen. That's a debate. You know what? That's a debate that's going to go on and on about who's number 1 and number 2.
I'm talking about right now. No, I'm not talking about from a fan base. I'm just talking about from an actual on the court standpoint.
Okay, on the court base, yes, they're number 2. But as a fan base, regardless of what Brooklyn's doing,
the Knicks
New York
still
runs.
Yeah. Right. The Knicks got to still.
Do you know why? Because this is like the first step in like I don't even know how long that it feels like the Knicks are heading in the right direction. You know what I mean?
We've been saying that for like 30 years.
No. Right.
Since insanity.
It's like the Jets. This is new beginning number what?
Right. With the Carmelo era, like they had to go up against the LeBron Heat. You know what I mean? Like I think we all knew that like we wanted a championship, but it was not a realistic
and the Celtics.
Because of what was in front of them. But now there are no expectations for anything. You know what I mean? They're playing with house money, and that's the best time to be a fan when your team is doing good and exceeding the expectations. Like if you just turn around and put up a 9-7 record next year, I'm sorry, not 9-7, 9-8. Yeah, because 17 games.
How stupid is that?
Happy as hell because I'm gonna expect them to go 4-12. Nobody expected the Knicks to be a 4 seed in the East. I think that's what's crazy.
Well, here's what I'm talking about in the comments. Here comes Greg. Dr. J needs to shut his yap. Super teams existed before the bloody merger. So like this is what I'm talking about. You see what I'm saying? Like it's his opinion. I don't understand why he needs to shut his yap. He wants to say what he wants to say. Let him talk. What's the big deal?
Carl, I agree with you 100%, and I think that's a problem with everybody in this country. If you have a difference of opinion, you're like Judas or something.
You're slandered.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
You're canceled.
I don't understand. Like if I come here and I say to Declan, Josh Allen stinks, he's gonna hate me. But you know what? Who cares? It's my opinion.
I think I don't even like it because you just said that out loud.
Right. Exactly.
Cut the mics, Carl.
Opinions can be wrong, sir. Oh, well, that doesn't make you right, Greg.
Well,
so I mean,
you know what?
Who cares? But Carl, this is not this is an opinion about preference. If I go walk to the corner store and I get a bagel with cream cheese instead of butter, that's because I enjoy cream cheese over butter. But if you go get
I'm with you on that.
No, it's always going to be cream cheese and cream cheese over butter, though. I mean, we all know this. Like,
right? No,
it's not.
It is. Yes, it is. If I'm going to my bodega, I'm getting a bagel with cream cheese, not butter, my guy. Sorry.
I wonder what Dr. J
Y'all wrong.
I wonder what Dr. J has to
are
say
wrong.
about this.
Hey,
listen.
But quickly, Travis, to circle back to your Justin Fields thing, I said from the beginning, Bill is trashing Fields behind the scenes so that he falls out of the top 5 so he can trade up to get him. And we're already seeing the reports the Patriots are looking to trade up to get him. So just remember who had it first.
That's what I'm thinking.
It was Chuck.
I'm thinking he's a victim. He's a victim of the NFL smear campaign so he can fall through the draft. Because like I said, outside of the NFL, he's still being talked about as the second best quarterback in this draft. It's inside with NFL circles in which he's kind of dropping. So I think you're right at this
point.
Right,
because if you remember, he was mocked to go second all season long until week 17 and then the postseason. So it didn't just come out of nowhere.
And now he's just being mocked.
That's the funny thing about the draft, where the draft evaluation period, the further we get out from actual football, we stop evaluating the actual football. We let everything else get in the evaluation process where, hey, still turn on the tape. The tape should be the ultimate evaluation. You know what I mean? But sometimes when this draft... Go
ahead, Travis. No, go ahead. I want you to finish, and then I got an analogy.
I was just saying, that's just the draft evaluation process. That the further we get from it, it seems like the less the actual football tape matters sometimes.
The NFL offseason, and the way I would put it is, the NFL offseason is like a really high fly ball in baseball, right? It's up there too long. You have too much time to think. You're going to do something stupid. That's just what it's like. And we look at the offseason
and they said that when they moved the draft back, because remember, I believe it was at the beginning of April up until about a year or two ago, and they said that once we moved the draft back, that's just going to give these teams more time to pick and pick these kids apart and just focus on stupid things instead of just focus on, hey, the play on the field. And back to the butter situation, I'm gonna agree with Greg.
My God.
I'm gonna agree with Greg on that one, Carl. He said cream cheese is for degenerates. Okay, I'm just gonna agree with him.
First of all,
I'm just
look at how upset he is.
Right? You see what I'm saying? Just because I chose cream cheese, like, come on, man, cream cheese is better. We know what this is. You're gonna go to the bagel. You're gonna get that. One thing we can agree on:
a degenerate.
You're gonna get a sausage, egg, and cheese on a bagel or a roll. You like it's. Come on.
Yeah.
It's a personal preference. I don't understand, but Greg has a beef with everything I do. It's just his nature.
Greg
he can't help
Greg
himself.
Greg has a beef over the different kind of beef you would put on that. Is it sausage,
Like,
egg,
you can't
and
help
cheese? Bacon? Nah, you're wrong.
I can't believe
can't help
Greg
it.
just said that if you like cream cheese, you're a degenerate. Like there's so many things to be a degenerate over that the next time I see cream cheese in the fridge, I'm gonna be like, damn. I don't know if I can eat it right now.
Like, again,
I
you
wanna
have
put
to
that-
agree with, like, you can't disagree with Greg. You disagree with Greg, he's going to drag it along forever.
No.
Like, we're going to be
I'm gonna
50,
see Greg-
60 years old in the nursing home. He's going to be like,
I'm
I
gonna-
told you it's butter, not cream cheese. Like, you're
People be in a
degenerate.
nursing home at 50 or 60 years old.
Whatever
Carl,
it is. Okay, 70, 80.
I'm gonna
I
need
got
you
my
to get
years
it
off.
together. Take better care of yourself there, sir.
Oh
50,
my God.
60 years old.
Yeah, you know,
I got
I'm
my
gonna
years
see-
off. I got my years off.
I'm gonna see Greg tonight, and I'm gonna walk up to the field with a big fat cream cheese bagel and just be like, "What's
Do
up
it.
now, man?" You know what? And that's a great quote. Cream cheese are for degenerates. I'd like to put that in his LinkedIn bio or his
You know,
Instagram
to
bio
be
or
honest-
something.
LinkedIn.
To be honest, when I was at work like a month ago, I got a cream cheese and jelly bagel, and like people were like telling me that I was weird or something. So I didn't know cream cheese and
Dude,
jelly.
Yeah,
It's
you're
like
a little weird
No,
for that.
that's
that.
actually not weird. No, I could defend that because I know
Thank
you
you.
get a bagel with jelly and cream cheese, so there's nothing wrong with
Thank
that.
you.
That's
Thank
normal.
you.
I don't find anything wrong with that. But I mean, if we're gonna sit here and talk about different foods, it's a matter of like, what's your personal breakfast cereal? I don't know. Like, what the hell? Like, it's
That's
a personal.
tough.
Yeah.
That's
It's a
a tough.
If it's
personal
not
thing.
frosted
It's a
flakes,
personal-
don't talk to me.
No, if it's not corn pops, it's either corn pops. Come on, get out of here. Like,
You want to fight about this? Like, what's going on? guys?
listen. So what do you eat?
What happened?
What's your
I
cereal?
don't eat a bacon, egg, and cheese. I don't eat cereal. What am I, 5
You don't eat
years old?
cereal? Well, you don't like
I mean,
cereal?
cereal?
Well, no, I do eat.
We just lost
Wow,
him. Look
he's-
at that. Because
Yeah,
he said he
yeah.
doesn't have cereal at his breakfast.
Right. The breakfast table man doesn't have cereal.
Oh man, you guys are crazy. Listen,
Travis.
bagel with cream cheese and jelly is my shit. See, look at Apple Jacks is the GOAT. See, now we got people talk about breakfast foods. All the other sports celebrities don't talk about breakfast foods. I'm telling you, corn pops, you can't go wrong with that. And the low key pick, honey bunches of oats is the sleeper pick. All right, don't sleep on that. for
Carl, it is now time to branch off the hit list to a whole food category.
sure. I'll try that. You guys enjoy the NFL draft. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the Sports Hit List. Take care.